Who killed Charlie Kirk? I'm almost certain it was Trump, and let me explain how I know. If it was a hired hit, it's almost certainly Trump. I'll explain that in just a second. If it wasn't a hired hit, if it was a random person, then Trump is also responsible because of the way he's run his base, because of the way he's teased people about the Epstein files, because Charlie Kirk did call for the Epstein files for about a weekend there, and someone could have seen that as a betrayal of Trump. But that's because Trump mutineers are most likely to be terrorists, violent, and have these types of actions. So the clues that you have that Trump called for it, that Trump planned it, include that they haven't caught the shooter yet. This is similar to when, or the very biggest clue and the very most important thing we need to focus on is that it fits Trump's agenda to target people on the left, to start revenge killings and things like that. The same way they try to do with the Misser, the crisis actor they hired to shoot that teleprompter and fireman. And he is using that to start violence, which is his method of doing things. And that's the thing we need to be most concerned about, is people who will act out in violence in revenge because Trump has set all this up to do this. Now, very clear evidence of him setting it up is that he was the first person to break the news. Someone pointed out that he was tweeting it on, or truthing it or whatever, lying about it on Truth Social, immediately. He had it all ready to go. He had that planned and ready to go. They say it's a distraction from the Epstein files, but it's more than that. It's Trump sending a message to all his supporters. It doesn't matter how far you are up in the supporting. This could be your reward for helping Trump if you ever fall out of step. Because there was one weekend where Charlie Kirk was like demanding the Epstein files, and then he very suspiciously, if you remember, it looked like he'd been threatened. He came back and said, okay, I'm going to trust the government on this. And this is probably a message to all the people that know what's going on, know Trump is destroying USA for Putin, a message to all of them to keep them in line. And Trump having a pre-prepared speech to blame it on the left, to set off the most unstable people to try to get revenge, is all part of this. When someone, I think it was Dark Brandon, I watched their content, their very first idea they entertained was that Trump did it. But then their strongest evidence against that was that that Charlie Kirk brought in a lot of votes. Well, what if Trump's past the point of wanting votes or needing votes anymore? He's not going to let that happen. Just like he really tried to not let it happen last time. And, this is all, again, not just Trump's method, the way Trump's proven time and again he'll do things, but Putin's method. And it's a little more Putin than we've seen before. But this is exactly how Putin runs things. Putin will assassinate people who disagree with him in the slightest to keep everybody in line. And now he's doing that in America, not only to Charlie Kirk, but to send a message to all the other Trumpers, all the other Trump mutineers, that this is what will happen to you if you fall out of line. There's also been a mention that Charlie Kirk himself said he'd been threatened with death if he ever criticizes Israel or the Mossad. Again, asking for the Epstein files is very much in line with that. It's the same thing, and it's the same kind of thing. So the point is that if they did this to start, just like if they did the fight, and shot that fireman, they just kidnapped firemen and policemen. So they've shown they're not beyond any of these things. And it fits Trump's style. It works for his agenda. He's the one who benefits from it. It sends a message to people not to question him about the Epstein files anymore. And to that, we should just not accept that fear or that response and say, no, this is exactly why we need the Epstein files now, and why we need to call out anybody who's standing in the way of that. And, that is Trump. So Trump probably did it. Or even if he didn't do it, back to that original point, he set the conditions for people to be like this. It's very much in Putin's playbook. It's very much how Putin does things. And one other point, it's not just to distract from the Epstein file story or the birthday book coming out, as most people suggest. It's also to distract or to be something else that Trump is doing besides responding to Putin's attack on Poland, attack on NATO, attack on us. That triggers Article 4 and presumably Article 5 of NATO, so that we're at war with Russia now, But Trump will not be at war with Russia. So what it'll be is the people of Ukraine, or it'll be Ukraine, the country, it'll be the people of America, Ukraine, Poland, the EU, and NATO versus Trump and Putin and Russia. That's where we are right now. And if you don't understand that, just another detail, Trump, before they killed Charlie Kirk, Trump was attacking Chicago. Trump attacked Chicago because Chicago, he sent Pam Bondi and brainworms RFK Jr. there, Russian fully brainwormed Clanity Jr. to Chicago to start the assault on Chicago that he's going to back up with National Guard and military. Why Chicago? Because Chicago has the largest population of Polish Americans in the country. The most Polish Americans in America live in Chicago. The third most spoken language in Chicago is Polish. I just thought of this because Putin attacked Poland the same day that Trump starts his assault on Chicago. And I thought, hey, doesn't Chicago have a lot of Polish people? And it does. A lot of Polish police officers with Polish American qualified immunity. When you think about it, you can help stop this. Okay? Everybody can help stop this by posting about it. We can do it from bed. We can do it with love. We can do it on our phones. We can do it safely where we're not presenting targets for them. Call it the Pillow Revolution. Do it from bed. Thanks. Welcome to the Pillow Revolution. Hashtag Pillow Revolution. But we've got to call this out. Trump probably killed Charlie Kirk. Okay? If you're mad about it, be mad at Trump and Putin. And be mad at yourself for supporting them getting things to this point where they're running things this way. It fits all Trump's past behaviors. It fits his patterns. It fits his agenda. He had the statement ready to go before anybody else even had the news. As soon as it was confirmed to him, the most important person, and Putin, who orchestrated it, as soon as it was confirmed to him, he had a statement ready to go. Anybody who's backtracking about celebrating on this, like TMZ, you're being a fascist and a Nazi and a traitor and a pedophile by trying to suck up to and appease Trump at this time. Anybody who's being threatening, you're even worse. It's Trump. It's Putin. They're attacking America. Okay? They've been attacking America, and they just attacked America through attacking Poland with drones. Putin just did that. That was planned for weeks. Just like Trump was planning to attack Chicago for weeks. They're in lockstep. They're the pedophiles with Netanyahu. They just busted the head of Israel's cybersecurity in a Las Vegas pedophile sting 2 weeks ago, but they let him go. And now that you know that, you let him go too. The officers who were arresting pedophiles became pedophiles by letting him go. So don't become one of them. Don't allow them to rule your mind. Don't allow them to make your decisions. They are the enemy. They have invaded us. They have attacked us. Trump probably killed Charlie Kirk. Okay? Be mad at the right people. Look at all the empathy and sympathy from people on the left. Not necessarily from me, because sympathizing with the Trump-Putineer would make you a Trump-Putineer sympathizer. But my point is, if Trump did it, then I want to know. If Trump's responsible, I want to know. That makes a difference. Don't think that y'all are more numerous than you are, or that you have, all the guns. You don't. And you don't need to use them at all. We can talk all this out, but keep in mind, it's probably your side doing it. So don't get mad at us. We're Americans here. The left might be the last Americans left, but you can come back to America. We're not doing this. Trump is doing this to you in order to get you to do things to us. Okay? Thanks for listening. Thanks for posting. Welcome to the Pillow Revolution. We can just do things peacefully, flip it over in our minds in bed, talk about it on our phones. We can figure this out. But the only shooting we need to do is these videos. So keep in mind, it was probably Trump who did it. And before you do something that you'd regret, that you're trying to condemn, before you become one of them, just stop and think and talk it out with someone, or with 988, the hotline. Call them, or let's talk online. Let's talk on my channel. Thanks for finding me. Welcome to the Pillow Revolution. Let's hold the guilty party responsible when the guilty party is Trump. Finally, let's let Charlie Kirk be his last mistake. Let's get him out of office. Let's get him out of power. Let's get him into a cell, safely into jail.